For decades, NFL defense was about imposing your will. Hit hard, hit first. Let receivers hear footsteps. Make quarterbacks feel every mistake. Defense wasn't polite, it was punishing. But somewhere along the way, the rules didn't just evolve. They reshaped what defense is allowed to be. Not with one dramatic announcement, not with one headline rule. Instead, through a series of small, logical player safety changes that quietly added up to something much bigger. Today, we're breaking down the rule changes that silently rewrote NFL defense and how they've changed outcomes in the league's biggest moments. Shift number 1, the NFL's quiet priority. The NFL never officially said, "We want more offense." They didn't have to. From the early 2000s onward, the league followed a consistent pattern. More scoring, more passing, more star quarterbacks staying healthy, more explosive highlights. Defense wasn't removed. It was de-emphasized. Rule by rule, defenders were asked to pull back instead of finish, react instead of dictate, play clean instead of play fast. The result wasn't obvious at first, but over time, defense stopped being about domination and became about survival. Shift number 2, illegal contact, where physical coverage died. Before the mid-2000s, defensive backs were allowed to challenge receivers physically well beyond the line of scrimmage. Corners could reroute receivers, use hands downfield, disrupt timing on every step. Passing lanes closed before routes even developed. After the league publicly emphasized illegal contact enforcement, defenders were suddenly penalized for extended hand usage, redirecting receivers past 5 yards, physical positioning downfield. The rule existed before, but enforcement dramatically tightened. Modern defensive backs now must defend, without touching, without disrupting timing, without guessing wrong. One small grab equals automatic first down. This has directly impacted late-game drives, especially in playoffs, where defensive holding calls routinely extend possessions that would have ended seasons 20 years ago. Defense didn't get worse. The margin for error disappeared. Shift number 3, defenseless receiver protections. Receivers crossing the middle knew the risk. You caught the ball and you paid the price. Safeties were allowed to separate receiver from ball, deliver forceful hits, punish poor route timing. The middle of the field was earned, not gifted. The defenseless receiver rule shifted responsibility entirely onto defenders. If a receiver is looking back at the quarterback, is airborne, is focused on the catch, the defender is now responsible for avoiding dangerous contact, even in full-speed collisions. Safeties must decide in milliseconds. Hit low and risk missing, hit high and risk ejection. Pull up and allow the catch. We've seen playoff games swing on this rule, where clean, technically sound hits still result in flags because of how the collision looks. The middle of the field isn't feared anymore. It's protected. Shift number 4, DPI becomes a strategic weapon. Historically, in the NFL, defensive pass interference was a mistake, something you avoided at all costs. In the past, defenders could play the ball, fight through hands, risk incompletions without catastrophic consequences. A penalty hurt, but it didn't usually flip the field. Defensive pass interference is a spot foul. That means one misjudged step, one underthrown deep ball, one late head turn can instantly move the offense 40 or 50 yards. Quarterbacks have learned this. We now see intentional underthrows, not to complete passes, but to draw contact. In playoff games and division races, we've seen entire drives and seasons extended on borderline DPI calls that never would have existed 15 years ago. Defense didn't get sloppier. The punishment just became too severe to survive. Number 5, roughing the passer. The biggest shift. This is the rule that changed everything. Quarterbacks were protected, but not insulated. Defenders could drive through tackles, finish sacks with body weight, hit quarterbacks just after release. Timing mattered more than appearance. Roughing the passer evolved into a judgment-based penalty. Defenders must now avoid landing with body weight, contact to the head or knees, Late hits, even when unavoidable. Replay, slow motion, and interpretation rule the call. We've seen playoff games extended, division races altered, fourth quarter sacks erased, all because of subjective roughing calls. Pass rushers don't rush anymore, they hesitate. And hesitation is death for defense. Shift number 6. Offensive formations that defense can't touch. Modern offenses aren't just faster, they're legally untouchable. If an offense spread the field, defenses could respond with physical press coverage, aggressive substitutions, time to match personnel. You could reset, you could breathe. With no huddle offenses and substitution rules, defenses are trapped. If an offense keeps personnel on the field, defenses can't substitute. Defenders get caught mismatched. Fatigue becomes a weapon. Add in motion-heavy sets, stacked receivers, and bunch formations, all protected by illegal contact rules, and defenders start the snap already compromised. This shows up late in games. It shows up in playoff fourth quarters. It shows up when defenders are exhausted and still can't touch receivers. The rulebook didn't say favor offense. It just quietly removed defensive counters. Shift number 7. Targeting and helmet rules. Defenders were traditionally coached to keep heads up, lead with shoulders, finish through contact. Hard hits were legal if form was correct. Targeting rules removed intent from the equation. In today's NFL, officials judge helmet position, point of contact, visual impact. Not what the defender tried to do, but how it appears. Modern defenders. Lower speed instead of lowering pad level. Avoid force instead of embracing it. Second-guess instincts. We've seen key defenders ejected in playoff games for hits that would have been highlights a decade ago. Defense became optics-based, not outcome-based. Shift number 8. Coach reviews, slow motion, and the death of real-time defense. Football is played at full speed. But modern officiating isn't. Officials used to judge plays in real time. What mattered was flow, timing, and intent. Mistakes happened, but the game moved. Everything now is slowed way down, zoomed in, and freeze-framed. A split-second decision becomes a frame-by-frame prosecution. A hit that looked clean at full speed suddenly looks illegal when slowed to 1/10 speed. We've seen playoff games where momentum swings on replays. Defenders are penalized after the fact, and aggression is punished retroactively. Defense isn't judged by football standards anymore. It's judged by video evidence designed to magnify impact, and defenders know it, so they hesitate. Shift number 9. Why defense feels impossible today. Fans today say, defense just isn't the same. They're right, but not because players forgot how to play. Defense today is reactive instead of aggressive, penalty conscious instead of violent, focused on not losing instead of dominating. Modern defenders aren't weaker, they're restricted. Every snap is a risk calculation. Here is the quiet truth. The NFL didn't destroy defense overnight. They changed incentives. They tightened enforcement. They prioritized offense. They protected stars. Each decision made sense on its own. But together, they rewrote the National Football League's defense. And until rules reward defenders again, defense will always be fighting uphill. If this changed how you see defense in the NFL, hit the like button. And if you want more breakdowns that explain what the league never says out loud, hit subscribe. See you next time.